Namaste. Just give me 2 minutes. Yeah. Okay. We'll start with today's session, 7th session. 1 minute. नमः सुंदरनाथाय तस्मै हालास्य वासिने चतुष्षष्टि विधा लीला येनाकारि भुवस्थले श्रीमत् सुंदरनाथस्य देवीं शफरलोचनां कलये हृदये नित्यं कदम्ब वनवासिनीं पूतं स्वतः पूततरं ततो यद् गांगं पयः शंकर मौलिसंगात् तत्पातु मातः प्रणयापराध पादाहतै पूततमं ततो नः. We stop to the 11th shloka. Kirnani ghanta pathayeva hanta shabdartha ratnani giram savitrya atyadarat amrishatam kavinam driggocharam kasyachideva yanti. Slowly after talking about the importance of dhvani, tatra shabdarthanam avashyakata uktam. So after saying the necessity for looking for proper words, see, words and meaning may be found everywhere. That's what he says here in the sense Savitriya, Giram Savitriya, Vagdevataya, Ghantapate, Pradhana Marge eva, Kirnani Shabdartha Ratnani. Shabda Artha Ratnani, you can take it as Shreshtaha Shabdarthaha, Sarvatra Prasritaha eva Pradhana Marge, the main street itself. So here in Kavyam, we take main street as Itihasa and Purana, because that is the that is the hallmark of any literature for us. Even though Vedas are present, Vedas do not give it in a very beautiful manner. I think in one of the few initial classes I said Vedas talk of things like a Prabhu Samhita. They give orders like a Prabhu, whereas Puranas and Puranas definitely talk of all these ideals as a Suhrit Samhita. But to bring it in a very beautiful manner, you need Kavyam. And Itihasam, which is Ramayanam, is the first Kavyam there, and it is called Adi Kavyam. There are many words, beautiful words present there. Even if you want different usages also, it is present there. If you read that, that is more than enough. Whereas, but if you want to take only small words from there, that's fine too. That is Pratyekasya Pratibha Visheshanusaram. Sarve tatra shabdarthane amrishanti. They take words according to their intellect. So if it is a kavi who looks at it with great care, then he will find great treasures inside that itihasa. Shabdarthani giram savitriya atyadarat amrishatam kavinam driggocharam kasyachideva yanti. Only some kavi is able to understand those beautiful words and arthas. Now the next one is, it may be, he says, these words and shabdas, even if a kavi tries really hard to find, he searches with a great care, still he is not able to find it. Why is that? That is where, when your bhagyam comes into play. You may have that intellect. Even when Kavyasya Karana Vishaye Yada Rasagangadharakaraha Vadati, Tatra he says that it is Bhagyam that is very important. Adrishtam is very important for a person. It is not enough if he has just a Pratibha Vishesha. I may have that intellect, but I may not have the time to even put a pen to the paper. That needs an Adrishta Vishesha, which is your Bhagyam, fortune. Lucky. You should be lucky to sit and write. Right? So that aspect, that Bhagya Visheshaha, is described in this shloka. Prayas tirobhuta mahaprakashaha pashana khandeshu iva chandrakantaha shabdeshu shabdaha militas charanti bhagyottaraha pratyabhijanate tan. Prayaha generally pashana khandeshu, tirobhuta mahaprakashaha chandrakantaha iva shabdeshu shabdaha militaha charanti. Normal words and beautiful words are, there is no list here. You have a general dictionary, a kosha, maybe there are several koshas available, which will just give you a list of words. That's all. Nobody is going to say, oh, this is a better word. This is going to be a rasamaya word. None of them will give you that. It is how the Kavi understands and picks out. You will have to be like that, filtering process. You'll have to go through the filtering process in a dictionary. Just because a word is mentioned in the dictionary, it does not mean you can use it. In Dosha Prakaranam, he would say, Koshe asti iti karanat tatra upayoktavyam na. There are so many words that are present in the kosha. That doesn't mean that you can use it, right? So you will have to find out which word will be appropriate. Auchitya visheshaha tatra avashyaka. Prayaha, probably among a lot of stones, he gives an upama here. Shabdeshu shabdaha militaha charanti. Words, among words, shabdeshu, shabdaha, words again. So we'll have to, even though there is a repetition of those two words, you'll have to take different meaning for each of those shabda there. So the first shabda is shabdeshu, shabda samanyeshu, in the entire world of words. Shabdeshu. Shabdaha militaha charanti. Ityukte rasamayaha shabdaha tatra militaha charanti. Those words which are capable of giving you that rasam are mixed along with those words. So shabdeshu, shabda rashishu, shabdaha prakrishta padani athava kavye ye upayogini bhavanti tadrisha padani. So those which are useful for a kavyam, those words are militaha, mixed. Mishritaha charanti vidyante. Charanti ityukte atra na gachanti iti na. You take it as vidyante. You take they are not moving around here among them, right? So they are present. The example that he gives here is, upama that he gives here is, tirobhuta mahaprakashaha chandrakantaha pashana khandeshu militaha charanti. There are a lot of stones that are available, pashana khanda, pieces of stones that are present, and among those pieces of stones, there might be chandrakanta stones. See, chandrakanta is a type of stone which starts oozing out when the moonlight falls on it. You will not know that it is a chandrakanta stone until the moonlight falls on it. Until then, you will only think that it is just normal stone that is there among all the other stones. You won't be able to recognize it. So how would a person, only when you go at night, probably when the moonlight falls on that entire stock of stones, one of them starts shining or one of them starts oozing out water, then you will understand, this is Chandrakanta. But for you to reach at that point, only at the point where the moonlight falls, that needs a Bhagya Vishesham. That is not something that everybody can do, right? It requires a certain type of samskara vishesha, or that luckiness, that you need to be lucky to be at the right time, at the right place for you to understand these things. Right? So, Pashana Khandeshu, among normal species of stones, you will find Chandrakantaha, which are Tirobhuta Mahaprakashaha. Teshantu Swabhavataha Prakashaha Kada Vidyate Chet Chandra Jyotsna Yada Nipatati Tada Eva Tasya Prakashaha Jayate. So until then, until the moonlight falls on it, its Mahaprakasham, its great light is Tirobhutam. It is hidden. So these Chandrakanta Mani, the moonstones, have a great luster, Mahaprakasha Yuktaha, Parantu, Saha Prakashaha Tirobhutaha. It is completely shadowed among all of these pieces of stones, Pashana Khandeshu. Prayaha Milati, it's generally, largely present among stones. But then, how do you recognize it when the moonlight falls? Right? For the moonlight, for you to be present at the time when that moonlight falls, you need to have a bhagya. Bhagyottaraha, in the same way, Shabdeshu Shabdaha Militaha Santi. Shabdaha, excellent words, beautiful words, which are useful for Kavyam, are present among Shabdeshu, among normal, common words, like a dictionary. Right? Charanti. Who are the people who can recognize it really well? Bhagyottaraha तान प्रत्यभिजानते तान शब्दान तान काव्य उपयोगिनः ये शब्दाः काव्य उपयोगिनः सन्ति तान शब्दान भाग्योत्तराः एव प्रत्यभिजानते संविदन्ति. They understand this only if they have a bhagya. Bhagyena uttaraha. Uttaraha is adhikaha, one who is great because of his bhagyam, because of his fortune, one who is superior with luck. You can call it as luck or bhagya visheshaha, some punya visheshaha, some sukrita vishesham, which makes them, which gives them that impetus to recognize, instincting. You know, sometimes we say it is instinct that makes them recognize all of these things. So, bhagyottaraha, bhagyena uttaraha, athava atishaya bhagyavantaha ityarthaha. So, what does it mean? They are superior because of luck. In other words, they have a superior luck, hence they are also superior. Uttaraha santi, uttaraha adhikaha, atishayaha, atisha. They are better than others because they have that luck aspect in them. Tasmat karanat tan shabdan kavya upayoginah ye santi tan shabdan pratyabhijanate. Here actually the word is prati-abhijanate, janite, janite, janate, janate, I think that's what it's the plural, bahuvachanam here. So pratyabhijanate, they are able to recognize it. Janati is just, janati is just recognition. Janite, it can be in Atmanepadi also. Janite is just knowing. But here, recognition, you've seen the word, the most common word you have seen is abhijnanam, abhijnana shakuntalam. In the Natakam Shakuntalam, the Abhijnanam or Chudamani in Ramayanam is an Abhijnana. It is a token of recognition. So here also Pratyabhijnanam, Pratyabhijanate, in the sense they identify it, they are able to recognize it. So only those with a superior luck or those who are superior because of luck, Bhagyena Uttaraha ye janaha santi, ye kavayaha santi, te eva samyak janate. Yeah. So, Prayas Tirobhuta Mahaprakashaha, here it is Upama Alankaram. If you see, the words are all matching very beautifully, except for the Sadharana Dharma, which is common to both. So, Pashana Khandeshu, Samanya Shabdeshu. If you look at this, this is also in Saptami Vibhakti. Okay, this is Saptami Vibhakti. So, Pashana Khandeshu, Shabdeshu, common words. There you have in the Upamana Paksham, you have normal pieces of stones. And here in the Upameya Paksha, which is the Prakritam, which is your contextual, that is common words. That is the dictionary words that are present. Shabdaha militaha santi, Chandrakantaha militaha santi. There can be Chandrakanta Manayaha, Teshu, Pashana Khandeshu yatha vidyante, tatha, Sadharana Shabdeshu, Samanya Shabdeshu, Vishesha Shabdaha, api militaha santi. This Tirobhuta Mahaprakashaha, those words also have a great tendency to shine forth in a Kavyam. Just as how these Chandrakanta moonstones also have the Mahaprakasham in them, Parantu Tatta Tirobhuta Mahaprakashaha, you can't recognize. It is only a Kavi who immediately takes those words and puts it in a Kavyam. We feel, oh, how can even the word Putam become so beautiful here? Right? In the first shloka, we saw that. Jaya Ghanta. Ghanta, we use that every day in our life. Ghanta, Dhvanihi, Dhvanihi. Even the word Shabdaha. Those words also tend to become so beautiful when the poet uses it. Right? That is there. They have a prakasham, but their prakasha is tirobhutam. Generally, it is hidden. Tiraha is an abhyayam, which takes a gati samgya. Tiro antardhau is the sutram there, and because of that you can make it into a samasa. So tirobhuta, antardhanam abhuta iti. Prayas tirobhuta mahaprakashaha. If you have any doubts, please ask at the end. So Mahaprakashaha Pashanakhandeshu iva Chandrakantaha Shabdeshu Shabdaha Militaha Charanti Bhagyottaraha Pratyabhijanate Tan. Now the next shloka is the most famous shloka. You will find this shloka being quoted in, just do a simple Google search with just these words. You will find the shloka in many number of books. Many people, that is after the 16th century or 17th century, maybe, if you find, this will be this shloka, you will find the shloka in the Purva Pitika or in the Avatarika. In introductory part, people generally tend to use this word, this shloka. Yaneva shabdan vayam alapamaha, yaneva cha arthan vayam ullikhamaha, taireva vinyasa vishesha bhavyaihi sammohayante kavayo jaganti. I myself am guilty to it. I have used the shloka so many times without even knowing that it was, it has a context here, in the sense, if words and words are, if great words are being mixed, the Sangati there from the earlier shloka to this. So in the earlier shloka, he said that excellent words are present mixed with common words, right? So only people with luck can recognize. So which means the words that are great, there is a different list of those words and there is a different list of common words. Is that it? So there can arise a question like that, right? So which means the words that a Kavi uses are completely different from the words that we are using. Is that possible? He says no. In this shloka he says, Tarhi kim asmabihi ajnataihi shabdartaihi kavyam na nirmiyate. Asmabihi jnataihi shabdaireva jnataihi artaihi eva kavyam nirmiyate. It is not something out of the world. There are only few kavis who use words like that. You can pick out those kavis, like maybe Naishadhakara, even Naishadham, even Shishupalavadha. If you take up those shlokas, the words will by themselves will be actually simpler words. You will be able to understand those words. The Sangati is the problem there. So you may have a dictionary, you may have a kosha, you may do word by word, you may have the Shabdartha Shasana Jnana Matrena Iva Kevalam Vedyate Satu Kavyartha Tattvagnireva Kevalam. You cannot be a Vyakarana specialist and then try to get the beauty of a Kavyam there. You need to have both hand in hand. Vyakarana and Tarka are two essential parts to understand a Kavyam. So, there is a series in Vyoma called Kavya Shastra Sambandha. Without Shastram, you cannot study Kavyam. Without Kavyam, you cannot understand the implications of Shastra. So go through that. It's in Kannada, but still you will be able to understand the Mahodya's lectures. Very beautifully, he would take up examples from Kumara Sambhava, Raghuvamsham, even Ramayanam, and give examples. Very beautifully treated, and that is how you have to understand, because you study Kavyam first, then go to Shastram, then come back with that Shastra Jnanam, you come back to Kavyam and read it again. The picture itself is very different. Yaneva shabdan vayam alapamaha. Vayam yaneva shabdan alapamaha. Samanya vyavahareshu vayam. Vayam ityukte samanya janaha vayam. We are not some great kavi. We don't sit every day and write a kavyam. Or within a night we don't write Paduka Sahasram like Vedanta Deshika did. Right? We're not so intelligent here. So yan vayam samanya janaha vayam. Yaneva shabdan alapamaha. Those words that we use in our day-to-day life. Vyavahareshu, Samanya Sambhashaneshu. This he is talking about 16th century, probably when people understood these. That is why there is still no Vyakhyanam for this Kavyam. Nobody has written a Vyakhyanam until now, and they have all spent time writing Vyakhyanams for Naishadham or even Kalidasa's works. So Yaneva Shabdan Vayam Yaneva Shabdan Alapamaha. Any words that we speak in our normal language. Yaneva cha arthana vayam ullikhamaha. Yaneva arthana vayam ullikhamaha. There should be another vayam here, because there are two vayams. You can use another vayam here. So vayam yaneva shabdana alapamaha, vayam yaneva arthana cha ullikamaha. Ullikamaha, what we wish to highlight. The words that we wish to say. Right? The words that we wish to say and the artham, the meaning that we wish to highlight. The meaning that we wish to convey. Ullikamaha. Yaneva cha arthana vayam ullikamaha. Okay, if the shabdas and artha that we want to say are being used by the poet, then why is he called a poet and we are not called poets? Tadeva the vayam I forget about the usage here. So the difference is Vinyasa Vishesha Bhavyaihi. Vinyasa is the most important concept that we have to understand here. Vinyasa is just arrangement. Visheshena nyasaha. Nyasaha is placement, arrangement. Visheshena nyasaha. In a particular arrangement fashion, he uses those words. Even the words that are there in this shloka, Yaneva Shabdan Vayama, nobody thought of this concept before. If in today's world, if somebody is talking about a kavyam, they will definitely take up the shloka. Because he himself shows how common words are used in a beautiful manner and the shloka itself can become a kavyam. Vinyasa. Vinyasa is an arrangement. Vinyasa Visheshaha. Visheshaha is the particularity of arrangement. You can call it like that. That is the word Vishesha, you use it in a manner that prakara. So, Rupa Visheshaha, when I say it is a particular Rupam, it is a particular form. Rupa Visheshaha ityukte Rupa Prakaraha. Athava, Vinyasa Prakaraha, Vinyasa Visheshena, Vinyasa Visheshaha. It is a particular type of arrangement or method of placement. Visheshaha can be taken as Ritihi, method. A method of Vinyasa, placement, makes it Bhavyam. So, Vinyasasya Visheshena Bhavyaihi Shabdarthaihi Taireva. Bhavyam is Ramyam. Bhavya, if you take it from Bhavati Asau iti Bhavyam, then it is just something like something that is present. In Vishnu Sahasranamam, you will find the words Bhuta Bhavya Bhavannataha, Pavanah Pavano Nilaha. Bhuta is past tense, Bhavya is present, something, any object that is present, and Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat, Bhavya is future there. Bhavat is Vartamanam. So Bhavishyati Asau iti Bhavya. It can also indicate the future tense. Bhavyam, Bhavi iti. Actually, Bhavyam is Bhavati Asau. This person is present. If I want to say he exists, that can also be say Saha Bhavyaha. That is, he exists. Ityukte, he Saha Bhavyaha iti Shabda Prayogaha api kartum shakyate. But here there is a special meaning for this called Bhavyam is Shubham athava Ramyam, Shobha Yuktam, Bhavyam. So that is the artham that the poet uses this word in. So he says Vinyasa Vishesha Bhavyaihi Taireva Shabdaihi, those words which have been placed in a beautiful manner because of the arrangement. So Vinyasa Visheshena Ramyaha, those words which are beautiful because of the method of different placement that has been done by the Kavi, Kavayaha Jaganti Sammohayanti. They just akarshanti, they attract the entire world. They charm the words because with the same words that we say, with the same meaning that we wish to highlight, but that are placed, that are beautiful because they have been, that are beautiful Bhavyam, because they have been placed in a different method. Vinyasa Visheshena. So it's not the idea here that the poet wishes to say is, he is not talking about Nutana Kachana Bhashana Upayujyate Atra. Yenaiva Shabdaihi, Yenaiva Shabdena, Vayam, whatever Shabdas we use, whatever words we use, whatever artha we use, the same thing the poet is also trying to convey in his poetry. But then Vaichitrena Shabdanam Nyasaha Kriyate Tatra, iti Karanat, Vividhanam Shailinam Upayogaha Kriyate. Because the placement of the words are different, his style differs. So what Kalidasa wishes to express, the same idea has been expressed by Bharavi, or the same idea has been expressed by Bhavabhuti also, but the way they use the words are completely different. There is an entire chapter devoted to this in Dhvanyaloka, in the fourth Udyotam, where he talks about Samvada. The topic of Samvada is, plagiarism is a word that we use today. It is not copying. So plagiarism has been dealt with in Sanskrita Sahitya Vidya, that is Alankarikaihi Uktam Purvameva. In Dhvanyaloka, he takes it as a special topic and deals with it, saying, if it is the same artha, if it is the same words that are using, then is it called copying? Is it called plagiarism? No, it is not. It depends on how he uses those words and how he highlights those meanings. What are the ways in which, what are the methods in which? There are 3 types of samvada, he says. One is just an utter copy, an imitation. That is not good. That is the most adhama type of samvada, plagiarism. That is where we immediately say it is plagiarism, and you can even sue the author there. But then the next one is, you use the words, you use the meaning, and in a same manner, yet you're also infusing some other alankara there to make it different. The highest form is, without even knowing that it's equal. There are examples given in Dhvanyaloka. People interested can go and read that text for further understanding. So the shaili differs. The style differs because each one has their own method of placing the words. They use different vrittam. One might have composed it in a anushtum. The other might have taken the same idea and created a sragdhara out of it. Sragdhara is a bigger meter, and it's a bigger shloka. So you can put in more adjectives, and the whole thing, the color of the whole idea might change. Right? So vrittam matters. Shabdarthanam alankaranancha upayoga. Shabdalankaraha yadi upayujyate, again the color will be very different from a person who does not use shabdalankara for the same idea. Madhuryadi gunam. The same idea, what is the result? Is he trying to use that idea for a Shringara param? Say, describing a woman can either lead to Shringaram, or it can also lead to Shantarasam, saying, descriptions of women like Nari Stanabharan Abhidesham Drishtwamaga Mohavesham. In Shankara uses that shloka, the description of a woman, to increase the Shantarasam or even Jugupsa, Bibatsarasam for someone. Right? So it depends on what you use that subject for. And that changes the color of the Kavyam also. So, Yaneva Shabdan Vyamalapamaha, Yaneva cha Arthan Vyamullikamaha, Taireva Vinyasa Vishesha Bhavyaihi. So, Bhavyam can, there is another meaning in Nighantu for Bhavyam. He says, Phala Bhede Bhavyam. Phalam is result. So, the result, because of the arrangement, the results can be different. It can be mridu. So, Vinyasa Visheshena Phala Bhedaihi, Phala Bheda Yuktaihi Shabdaihi. We can also take the meaning for Bhavyam as Phala Bheda. Then it means the different 9 rasas can come out of the different arrangement of those words. So, you can take it as mrudu, or you can have it as bibatsa, anything. Right? So, phalam, result. Because of the method of placement, there is a different results can occur for those words. So, taireva vinyasa vishesha bhavyaihi sammohayante kavayo jaganti. They need that rasa here. If you look at Champu Ramayana, Kavya Prakasha, the first shloka, he talks about how a kavi is very different from Brahma. Kavi uses 9 rasas, whereas Brahma has only 6 rasas in his hand, and he tries to create this world. Whereas Kavi creates a world which is so much more beautiful, even though there are 9 rasas. Brahma has 6 rasas. When you eat bitter, you only feel bitter. You don't feel happiness there. You might like the bitter thing, but even if it is bitter in Kavyam, you still feel a happiness after reading that Kavyam. That's the greatness of Kavyam. Okay. So the next one is, now he talks about the differences between poetry and music. In this shloka, in the 14th shloka, and again he is going to talk about it in the 17th shloka. Gayanti veena api venavaha api jananti balaha pashavopi cha idam kavyani kartum cha parikshitum cha dvitraha bhaveyuhu natuva bhaveyuhu. Only few people may understand how to do a kavyam. So even people say that, music is also needs a bhagyam. See, bhagyottaraha pratyabhijanate. Only those who have a fortune, only those who are lucky can identify those words, because those words are common things that are present among us. Yaneva shabdan vyoma-samskrta-pathasala. Then how is it that only few of them are able to make a kavyam, whereas others are unable to write a kavyam? This is, then he says, it is not, you will have to think of it in the matter of singing. So the Purva Pitika for this and the Avatarika Sangati for these two shlokas is, you need a lot more here. So if only those who have bhagyam are able to write kavyam, then why is it that at least people should be able to analyze it and understand it quite easily, right? If you know the words and if you know the Shabda Kosha, if you know the rules of grammar, then you should be able to analyze it and understand it much more beautifully. He says this is not like music where you can just listen to it and enjoy it. Gayanti veenaha api, venavaha api. There are, music comes from, or veena, the instruments to sing. Sing, atra, the shabdana dhvanim kurvanti. Gayanti iti, you don't take it literally as singing. Veena is singing. Anna, there are people who are experts. When they play instruments also, it seems like they are singing from that instrument. You can hear the words, but you should be at that frequency to understand that. If they are playing something and you are unable to understand whether it is Shankarabharanam or Bilahari, then what is the purpose of it? You can enjoy for me, I think Nilakanta Dikshita was a great poet, but he was not a musician. That's what I feel here. And that's why he talks of music a little less than Kavyam. In the sense, I think because it involves only one indriyam. For music, you need only Shrotrendriyam, whereas for Kavyam, it needs a bit more of intellect there. That's why he probably did not have that music gene, is what I feel, because there is another shloka where he says, music just comes and it dries up in the ear itself. It doesn't go and touch the heart, it seems. I will never accept that shloka. But then, because we are reading his Kavyam, we'll have to study that also. So, yeah, Gayanti Veenaha api Gayanti. Veenaha are, Veena, we know that it is an instrument which is Tantri Vadya Visheshaha. It has strings attached to it. And so, Veenaha Gayanti, Dhvanim Kurvanti, Tatha Venavaha api. Those are stringed instruments. Venu is a flute which is Kichakaha. It is it is produced by this thing, sound, air being blown in it. Anila uddhataha Kichakaha eva venavaha. So venavaha api gayanti. Even flutes produce a sound. Now these sounds are recognized by all. When someone plays the flute, or when someone is playing veena, even small children, balaha, pashavaha api, even animals hear this music. Idam jananti. Jananti, the meaning they listen to this and understand this. In the sense, they don't understand whether this is what ragam is this, or whether they're playing varnam or kirtanam or whatever not. That sort of an understanding, but they are able to enjoy the rasam out of it. Some people say, when you listen to certain types of music, without even recognizing, they will start crying. Some people just feel so much of peace with certain music. Some people get agitated with certain music. It does have an effect. There have been many scientific experiments done for the effect of music. Certain types of music increase the blood pressure. Certain type of music makes it calm. So it is there. So balaha, pashavaha api jananti. They understand it. So from young age, if you have brought up children by singing to those children, you will know that even kids recognize certain type of music. They will get attracted to certain type of music. It is all samskara vishesha. And some animals, there are in Puranam also, in Kavyams also, animals get attracted, like especially deer. A hunter plays the flute or some other music, and the deer gets attracted, it just stays, and it gets caught. तथा वदन्ति काव्येषु वदन्ति एव व्याधानां गानं श्रुत्वा स्तम्भिताः जायन्ते मृगाः इति, and then maduragana shravanena it becomes just completely stupefied, and then it gets caught by the hunter. That is there. And kids, of course, the moment they hear beautiful music, they become calm and they even go to sleep. We have found that. This is just normal and understood by everybody. Whereas to compose and analyze kavyam, kavyani kartum cha parikshitum cha, kartum, kavyani kartum rachayitum, parikshitum, parishilayitum. In order to analyze a kavyam also, dvitraha bhaveyuhu, natua bhaveyuhu. Maybe some people can understand dvitraha ityukte dvauva trayova iti dvitraha. It's a samastapadam there. Only 2 or 3 people bhaveyuhu could possibly, 2 or 3 people may compose or analyze poetry. Or natua bhavanti. They may not even be present. Now, Bhavabhuti, he wrote 3 Natakams. My favorite poet. He wrote 3 Natakams, and all 3 used very different Angirasas. In Uttarramacharitam, he used Vipralamba Shringara as a Angirasa. In some people say it is Karunam, some people say it is Vipralamba Shringara, but general opinion is Vipralamba Shringara because Rama and Sita join at the end. Usually, Shringara is the Angirasa. Love sentiment is the most common in Natakams, in this thing, Samskrita Nataka Jagati. The next one is Mahavira Charitam, where Veera Rasa Pradhana Natakam. The third one is the worst, not worst, Malati Madhavam, which has Bibhatsa Rasam as, or Jugupsa. Bibhatsam is disgust. That is the main Angirasa in that Prakaranam. It is a 10-act play where it is filled with, Smashana Katha, funeral, or, ghost, and the ghost coming and eating corpses. And all of these things are present in that. Yet there is a love track also between Malati and Madhava. But the main rasam there is Bibhatsam. So when he says, there were a lot of critics about his poetry, but he didn't care about anything. He says, Kalohayam niravadihi vipulacha prithvi. Someone or the other will come up who will appreciate my poetry, and he will talk about it. Asti utpatsyate asti mamakopi samana dharma. Mama samana dharma. That is why that frequency between the poet and the person who tries to understand the kavyam is absolutely necessary, because he has to get into the mode of that poet. He should not be in his own mode and try to analyze the poetry, because he will never understand what the poet is trying to convey. Then you can analyze. You first understand what the poet is trying to convey. For that, you need a specific type of buddhi. Tasmat karanad atra kavyani kartum parikshitum cha dvitraha bhaveyuhu athava na bhaveyuhu eva. Samakale. In his own time, they may not be present. Utpatsyate. In, as Bhavabhuti says, what's the beginning of the shloka? Yenama kechid ihanaf prathayant avajñam. Avajña is insult. There are a lot of people who kept saying that what you are saying is wrong, and they were insulting Bhavabhuti. How can you have Bibhatsa Rasa as the Pradhana Rasam? Yenama kechid ihanaf prathayanti avajñam jananti te kimapi tan prati naisha yatnaha. I am not writing this kavyam for them. Tan prati na yesha yatnaha. This kavyam has not been written for people who are waiting to insult me. It is written for, there will be somebody, asti, I do not know, vipulacha prithvi. This earth is so big that there can be someone at some corner who will appreciate my poetry. Athava utpatsyate kalohayam niravadihi. This time is eternal, and a person might arise later who might appreciate this, right? So tasmat dvitraha bhaveyuhu, 2 or 3 people may be present today to appreciate the poetry, or may not even be present. Maybe they will come up later. Who knows? So you need a bhagya vishesha, you need a pratibha vishesha, and samana dharma. There should be a frequency with the poet to appreciate and analyze that poetry, and to also write a poetry. So kavyani kartum parikshitum cha dvitraha bhaveyuhu. Bhaveyuhu is sambhavana. Prayaha bhaveyuhu. Maybe there could be some 2 or 3 people. Athava nava bhaveyuhu. They may not even be present. Who knows? Gayanti veena api venavo api jananti balaha pashavopi cha idam kavyani kartum cha parikshitum cha dvitraha bhaveyuhu naduva bhaveyuhu. Why is it so difficult to make a kavyam or even analyze a kavyam? Now he brings in that divinity. Nilakanta Dikshita needs his Ishtadevata there, present, always. Right? So immediately he brings that connection of how Shiva is Shabdamayam, yeah, Shabdamayam and Arthamayam. Shabdamayam is Shakti and the Shiva is Artha. So Savyam Vapuhu Shabdamayam Purarehe Arthatmakam Dakshinamamananti Angam Jagan Mangalam Aishwaram Tadarhanti Kavyam Katham Alpapunyaha. Anybody who has Alpam Punyam, one who has not done so much of Punya, who has very little Punyam in his lifetime, Katham Alpapunyaha Tadrisham Kavyam Arhanti. How can they, how are they deserving of such a great Kavyam? They cannot be deserving of a Kavyam. People with little merit are not eligible for this Kavyam. Etat Kavyam Aishwaram, which is very divine, which belongs to Ishwara. Ishwarasya idam iti Aishwaram. Aishwaram Angam. It is a divine part of Shiva. And it is also Jagan Mangalam, Jagatam Mangalam, Loka Kshemakara. It gives Kshema, it is auspicious to all worlds, because this Kavyam is part of, it forms the body of Shiva. Purarehe Savyam Vapuhu Shabdamayam Dakshinam cha Arthatmakam Amananti. Amananti, people talk of Amananti ityukte Kathayanti. Mana is a dhatu there. Abhyase Mananti. So Amananti, the people generally they talk of the Savyam Vapuhu. Savyam is Vama Vapuhu, the left side of Shiva, which is Parvati. That left side is called Shabdamayam. The right side, Dakshinam Vapuhu cha Arthatmakam Amananti. The right side is full of Artha. That is Arthaha Atma Asya iti Arthatmakam. The right side, right part of Shiva is of the form of meaning. So, Edadrisham Aishwaram Angam, Ishwarasya idam Angam yat Jagan Mangalam Vidyate, Tadrisham Kavyam, Tatil Kavyam, Katham Alpapunyaha Arhanti. How can people with little Punyam deserve this great Kavyam, which is supposed to be made of Shabda and Artha? So Kavya Purusha is described by Rajashekara as both having Shabda and Artha, with just mere Shabdas which do not make any sense, like Purusho, Hasti. If I just quote from the dictionary and list words, it doesn't become a Kavyam. It has to give a beautiful, it has to give a meaning. Okay, now I say Aham Gacchami, Ramaha Gacchati, Tvam Gacchasi. These are also sentences, words are strung together with meaning. But at the same time, it does not give rise to a beautiful meaning. Ramaniya Artha, that's why, the final Kavya Lakshanam, which is the final thing that Jagannatha Pandita gives in his Rasagangadhara, is Ramaniyartha Pratipadaka Shabdaha Kavyam. Kavyam is a word, Shabdaha Kavyam, which is Pratipadaka, which gives rise to a beautiful meaning. Ramaniya Artha Pratipadakaha Shabdaha eva Kavyam iti uchyate. Tari Shabdaha Arthaha Ubhayorapi Avashyakata Vartate. But these two are not ordinary. Shabda Swarupam is Amba, Shakti. I took this in Raghuvamsha. The first shloka is Vagartha viva samprikto, Vagartha pratipattaye, Jagataf pitarau vande, Parvati parameshwaro. When someone is trying to ask for words and meanings, the proper words and meanings to come in the mind when he is writing a Kavyam, he will ask for the grace of Saraswati here. But Kalidasa starts off by saying Parvati Parameshwaro, Vande Parvati Parameshwaro. And the quotation that Malliganatha gives there is in Vayaviya Samhita, Shiva Puranam, where he says Shabdajalam Ashesham tu dhatte Sharvasya Vallabha. There is a typo here. It is Sharvasya Vallabha. So Shabdajalam Ashesham tu dhatte Sharvasya Vallabha. Sharvaha iti Shambhuhu. Shambhoho Vallabha Shaktihi. She is of the form of letters. Akaradi Kshakaranta Matrika Varnarupini. Adikshantakari. Ambal is, Devi is called Akaradi Kshakaranta. There are 51 letters. Ksha is not a Samyukta Akshara in Tantra Shastra. It may be a Samyukta Akshara, but in Tantra Shastram, according to Vyakarana Shastram, each Shastram has its own definitions. So in Vyakarana Shastra, it is a Samyukta Akshara of Ka and Ksha. Whereas in Tantra Shastram, Ksha itself is a separate entity. And so that also, with that you will have 51 Aksharas in Tantra Shastram. So all those 51 Aksharas, that is, that are used to create words, and those words are Shakti. Shabdajalam Ashesham tu dhatte Sharvasya Vallabha Artha Swarupam Akhilam dhatte Mugdhendu Shekharaha Mugdha Indu Shekharaha Chandra Shekharaha Shivaha Artha Swarupam Akhilam dhatte. He is of the form of meaning also objects. So he has transformed himself here as the objects of the world. Yasya padarthasya yaya shaktihi udahrita. If you have a padartha, if you have an object, there is a shakti, tasya padarthasya shaktihi kachit udahrita. Shakti is, if I have a name, if I have a word, that word has the power to convey the object. There is an object, and there is a Shakti or a word that has the power to convey the meaning of that object, or it has the power to convey that Swarupam of that object in my mind. Sa Shaktihi Udahrita. Yasya padarthasya yaya Shaktihi. Whatever Shakti is being said, Sa Vishweshwari Devi. Sa Shaktihi Devi Eva. Parvati. That Shakti or that power to convey a meaning, that power is called Parvati. And Sasa Sarvaha Maheshwaraha ityukte Saha Padarthaha Maheshwaraha. Each and every object that you find in this world is Maheshwara. If there is no power to indicate that with a word, then the meaning of it is lost. The meaning of that object is lost. You need the power to give a shape to that object. So the Shakti is words, and Artha are Shiva. Okay, so Savyam Vapuhu Shabdamayam Purarehe Arthatmakam Dakshina Mamananti Angam Jagan Mangalam Aishwaram Tadarhanti Kavyam Katam Alpapunyaha. For a long time I was thinking why he should use the word Purarehe. See, Shabda and Artha talks of the joining of Shiva and Parvati here, Ardhanari Swarupam. If you have to experience that Shabda and Artha in your mind, first you will have to get rid of all the mala, that is the ahankara, karma, maya, etat sarvam na bhavitavyam manasi. In Tamil we say mummalangal. Ahankara, maya and karma are three types of mala or dirt that is present in our mind. Only when you remove all those three will that Lord be present in your mind. And here, Pura Ari, Tripuranam Arihi Shivaha, Tripurasya tatra suchana na trini purani. It is not the three, this thing that, Tarakasura's sons built 3 cities. I think his sons are Vidyunmali, Tarakaksha and Kamalaksha. They built 3 cities and they became very powerful because those 3 cities were always moving around, and they could be destroyed with only one arrow when all 3 were standing in the same line. Each one has its own orbit, and when all of those 3 cities are in one line, Shiva has to find that exact 1 second which will happen only every 1,000 years or something, and he has to destroy all 3. So within that 1,000 years, these 3 sons of Tarakasura were creating havoc in all 3 worlds. So those 3 cities came and aligned at one point, and then Shiva who was the Ari or Shatru of these 3 cities. He destroyed it. Actually, he first destroyed it with his eye. Netragni dwara eva tatra nasham akarot, parantu devanam rakshanartham tadanantaram isham amochet. So he first destroyed it with this agni that came from the 3rd eye. Then he put an arrow to just to satisfy. So every deva offered themselves to be one of the parts of his ratham. Shruti was the I think his bow, Danushaha Shruti Rupini, the issue, his arrow was Vishnu, and each of them contributed to this whole job of killing all of those 3 cities, the people and the asuras, and destroying the 3 cities. So Pura Ari here means one who destroyed the 3 cities, but it is not just a mere Purana Katha there. If you look at Thirumolar, he says, Appani Senjadai, Adi Puradanam, Muppuram Chendranam, Yenbavar Moodargal. Only fools talk about, Shiva destroying 3 cities there. It is actually Muppuram Avadu Mummalakariyam, Appuram Eidamai, Yararivaram. It is the Mummala Karyam. The 3 Mala that is present in the mind, Ahankara, Maya and Karma. Only if you remove those 3 types of Mala will the Shiva and Shakti be present in the mind. Otherwise, the presence of God cannot be felt there, right? So, Shabda and Artha is so divine. Tarihi etadrisham aishwaram angam, ishwara sambandhi angam kavyam katham alpa punyaha. Just as in Saundarya Lahari, pranantum stotum va katham akrita punyah prabhavati iti. Atra alpa punyaha api na arhanti iti vadanti. If you do not do any punyam, then you cannot even praise or think of or do namaskaram for Shiva and Shakti. What to say? No, here alpa punyaha tat kavyam na arhanti. Something that is shabda and arthamayam, which is Shiva Shakti maya rupam kavyam, tat alpa punyaha tu tasya tadrisha kavyasya arhatam na yogyaha na bhavanti. Okay, I'll stop with this. Any questions? You can raise your hands. Okay, I guess there are no questions this time. Okay, Nandini Modha.
Ma'am, namaste. In that Pashana Khanda and Chandrakanda Mani shining because of the moonlight, no? So can we say that the Kavi Pratibha is like the moonlight?
Yes. I wanted to say that, maybe it just got slipped. Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
No problem. Arun Kumar Modha. Yes.
Madam, the word bhavyaihi is not quite clear, madam. He says the words are selected and stringed in a proper manner to give shobhanam to kavyam. Where does the word bhavyam, bhavyaihi in Bahuvachanam, how does it matches with this, madam?
Bhavyaihi, bhavya meaning ramya. Ramyaihi, taihi, shabdaihi, shabdartaihi.
Bhavya itself means shobhanam.
Shobhanam, yes.
Okay.
That is present in the kosha as a meaning for it.
You said bhavati asau. What?
The normal meaning is bhavati asau or bhavishyati asau. If you look at Vishnu Sahasranamam, you can also take it as present அப்படிங்கிற அர்த்தத்தை. But it is not that meaning. You should not take it here. அதுக்கு சொன்னேன். ஆனா bhavya has a different meaning, because if you take the vyutpatti of that word, then it may not make sense at all. But you take the meaning as shobha or ramyam. Ramyam nu edutunda innum it will be easier to understand that. Vinyasa visheshena ramyaihi taihi shabdarthaihi sammohayante kavayah. Is Atmanepadam used for suggesting the phalam of the Kavya Rachana is intended to go to the Kavi in the form of good fame. Sammohayante jaganti mohayante mohana rupasya phalam tu tatra santoshaha. So that santosham, you can take it like that. Sammohayati, sammohayate. I don't want to restrict it to it, because in Kavya Prakasham he says both the reader and the Kavi gets fame, right? Nilakanta Dikshita got fame by Shivaleelarnavam, yes. But because I am teaching now, or I am trying to understand it, I still get fame because of that. So it's not restricted to the Kavi. So you don't need to take that Atmanepadi as Kartriphala Vivaksha. Shara Narayana Perumal Mandiram Rathakaram Veera Veerattaneshwara Mandiram. Okay, Kadalur Janapadestha. Nice. Yes. Idula kuda and the Acharipakam is also where that Tripura idukku poharcheda and the Ach, the adu perana, the axle. The axle also got broken because Ganesha, they did not offer their this thing for Ganesha, and then they did that. That is also another significance for this. Okay, Raman sir. Yes.
In connection with music and Kavyam, I thought music has to depend on elements of Kavyam or whatever is written in Kavyam.
The words
doesn't have to depend on any
very nice. அப்பாடா, எனக்கு ரிலீஃபா இருக்கு. என்னடா இப்படி வந்து நீலகண்ட தீட்சிதா has talked of music a little less ன்னு எனக்கு I was little இது. No, that's true. Yes, it does depend on certain words, but even what aspect that he is trying to say here is, I think anything that does not music need not depend on the words also at a certain point. You don't need to understand the words for you to understand or experience, enjoy music.
But the rasa itself comes mainly from kavyas, and music depends on rasam. So, so there is a dependence. It looks like, in fact, the Vedantins are asked to stay away from music and get enamored by it.
Venunadaha, Krishnasya Venunadam avaroda, the flute music from Krishna. What do we say about if we stay away from it, we will never get moksha.
Then the focus has to be totally on Krishna, not on music.
I think it is.
I enjoy all of them. I don't have any. I don't want to say bad of anything at all.
The idea with which he wants to point out here is, because to understand music, buddhim alodhya kimapi na kartavyam. You don't need to, churn your brain for anything to understand a sweet music.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's whereas for Kavyam, it requires the Shabdartha Jnanam first step. There are so many steps to understand a Kavyam. It is not a simple process to understand Kavyam. That's what he's trying to say here.
I wonder whether music, when it melts the heart, it leads to an increase in punyam too. So
because there is a chitta ekagryam there.
Yeah.
If our mind is also at that point in a very clear state, sattva pradhanam, then definitely there is a this thing melting of the mind there. Definitely.
Thank you. This is a wonderful day today.
Lata Madhya, I think you can unmute yourself.
இல்ல நீங்க அந்த மியூசிக் சொல்லும்போது தான் எனக்கு அந்த லல்லபி ஞாபகம் வந்தது. சோ குழந்தைகளுக்கு நம்ம
correct adha balaha janantingrare. Yes. Yes, so even kids understand music in a very simple manner. That's what it is.
Am I still on?
Yes, yes, you are.
With regard to that Vinyasa Vishesha Bhavyaihi, அது வந்து அந்த jingling alliteration அதெல்லாம் வருமா?
Yes, yes, definitely it is there. We Shabdalankara, I have not dealt with the Shabdalankaras at all here. Alliterations irukku. Alliteration is and the yamaka anuprasas are present, definitely. Vinyasa Vishesha Bhavyaihi irukku. And the yakara repetitions, vakara repetitions are present here. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Radhika Madhya, you have a question.
Hariom, that you said that great intellect is not required to appreciate music. Ada solva allaya Sangeeta Shastram padikreche Pashur Veti Shishur Veti Veti Gana Rasam Panihi அப்படினு ஒரு ஸ்லோகம் உண்டு.
Yes, yes.
So அதை appreciate பண்றதுக்கு வந்து பெரிய இன்டெலெக்ட் தேவையில்லை. பசுவா இருந்தாலும் இவன் இது பாம்பு மகுடி வாசிச்சாக்க அது கூட தலையா.
Yes, right, yes, பாம்பு, ஆமா. But it's more a frequency there than anything else. It is the பாம்புக்கு வந்து செவி கிடையாதும்பா.
They even say that it's not even the music, it's only the movement of that snake charmer, probably not even the frequency, probably.
Correct,
I just remembered this shlokam. I thought I just shared it.
Very nice. Yeah, but see, it does require an intellect in a way, in the sense அது என்னன்னா அந்த பாட்டிலேயே வந்து when you go deeper into the shastram of anything, it requires a different intellect and it requires a bhagya vishesha. Even kavyam adhyasena prayaha jayate, but if you are tone deaf, it's very difficult to appreciate music.
I've experimented with music, but not with Kavya, so I can't vouch for Kavya. But outside my kitchen was our compound wall, outside which the 3 saplings were planted by some volunteers and some organization. And one of the saplings was just outside my kitchen window, where I used to face those trees and sing. Usually when I cook, I sing. So after a point when they grew up, that one which was just outside my kitchen window, it turned towards the kitchen. The other 2 were grew up towards the roadside.
So those experiments have actually those experiments have been done by scientists, and they say music definitely has an effect on kids. Even garbha shastre api asti, so that there is an effect in
plants this thing also. When they are reacting this way, what is the level of intellect that they have?
It's true. There's one more question here. Tat Kavyam, does Tat have any importance here? Tat, you can take it as from the earlier shloka. Kavyam parikshitum dvitraha evam bhavanti ityukte Tat Kavyam, tadrisham Kavyam. So that is, you can take that Tat as Arthantra Sankramitam to indicate something that is from the earlier this thing, shloka. Adu sollalam. Okay. I think Haridas Madhya. Yes.
Namaste Modi. As usual, an awesome session. So just kinchit tanomita Sangeeta Kavya Charcha. So that so I mean it's like 9 in the Nyaya, right? He's not really meaning to put down music, but wants to. And then the Veena, okay, Veena and Venu can just mean the flute, or it can just mean the bamboos, which naturally produce sound sometimes in the forest, right? So in the sense that they are achetana at that point, right?
Okay, that gives me a nice idea. So you can say Veenaha gayanti balaha jananti. Venavaha api gayanti pashavaha api idam jananti.
Evam.
Split it in that manner, and the Anvaya also will be good.
So it's naturally produced as well, whereas with Kavyam, it is more of it is not that. Whereas 9 in the Nyaya, basically.
Yeah. He is not Ninda atrana vivaksha. True. Okay.
But I was reminded of Kamban Vittu Kattathariyum Kavipadum.
I'm sorry. Okay. There's one more. Sorry. I think I've given permission. Rajalakshmi Modaya, there's one more question. Yeah. You can unmute yourself and ask if you have a question. Okay.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Sammohayante katham atra kadeti. Sammohayante, which words? Entha words join padradha? Sammohayante solubudhu.
அப்படின்னா என்ன வேர்டு ஜாயின் பண்றது? கவயஹ ஜகந்தி சம்மோஹயந்தே, மெயின் சென்டென்ஸ் அது. சோ கவயஹ கவிகள், ஜகந்தி உலகங்களை, சம்மோஹயந்தே மோகிக்க வைக்கிறார்கள்.
ஓகே சரி. And then correct. அப்புறம் அந்த நீங்க சொல்றதுக்கு வந்து அந்த கிருஷ்ணரோட இதுக்கு சிறுவர்கள் தடவி பரிமாறங்கிற பாட்டுல பறவைகள் கூடு துறந்து வந்து படுகாடு கிடப்ப கறவைகள் கணங்கள் கால் பரப்பிட்டு செவி காட்டக்கில்லாவே இருக்கு. அதாவது மாடு பசுக்கள்லாம் வந்து அப்படியே காதை கூட ஆட்டாம நின்று இருக்கு, அப்படியே இருக்கு. அதே மாதிரி அந்த வர்ணனையும் எப்படி இது அனுபவிக்கிறோமோ அதே மாதிரி இருக்கு உண்மையிலேயே.
வேணவஹா அபி ஆமா. சோ தட்ஸ் வை அத வந்து ரெண்டா பிரிச்சுட்டோம்னா, if we take it as வீணாஹா காயந்தி வந்து வீணை is present in cities, so kids are present and they are attracted towards it. வேணவஹா, if we don't need to take it as flute also, we can just take the natural music that is produced in the forest through the bamboos. And even Krishna, as we saw, when he plays the flute, everybody just listens to it. Yeah, very nice. Okay. Thank you. Namaste. I think we'll stop with this.